Hello there, and let's do the astro weather for October 27th. So, really rolling into some eclipse energy now. You might feel that you're kind of getting a little bit more intense, that the vibrations are feeling a little bit heavier. It might be a little bit of chaotic excitement in the air. That is this eclipse energy rolling on in. And we are closing down, remember, that cycle that started in November 2021. So you could be dealing with some things from the past coming up. So let's have a look at these aspects. At 1:15 a.m., we have an annoying compromise required between the moon in Aries and Lilith in Virgo. So those fiery moon emotions really asking the Lilith in Virgo to take a look at itself, to put itself first, and to find a way that it can compromise between the energy of it wanting to heal, wanting to do things for other people, and the energy of Aries, which is I am. So you might find yourself either waking up with a bit of a fire under you for getting your own needs met, or you might find that your dreams are very intense. Then at 1:50 a.m., so again, we'll be still sleeping likely down here in Australia. And this is a quincunx between the sun in Scorpio and the moon in Aries. So this is where the compromise is going to be needed from both parties. This is the sun in Scorpio being intense, being passionate, being a little bit secretive, and the moon in Aries firing up our emotions. So this could be a heated situation coming up in your dreams. This could be some secrets trying to be revealed in your emotional state. So really, as I say, during the eclipse energy, our dreams can be messages and we need to be writing them down. So if you're waking up and you have seen through some fog and you are wondering, oh, what is this dream about? Write it down. It's probably a message for you. Okay, at 3:26 a.m., we have an aspect between the moon and Mars in Scorpio. This very restless energy. This is wanting us to take action, okay? So Scorpio wants to take its time when it moves forward. Even though Mars and Scorpio work very well together, it becomes very intense, very passionate ways of wanting to move forward. We want to do it from a deep level. We want to do it properly. So the problem with that is that an Aries moon wants to just do it. It wants to get it done. It wants to go forward. And so that can create a little bit of restless energy with how we're dealing with that heightened, fiery, emotional situation, which is just going in headfirst like a ram without a plan. And that Scorpio Mars is not a fan. Then we get to 8:12 a.m. and we see a semi-square between the moon and Uranus. So this is that carry on from that energy of the moon and Mars in Scorpio, because this is going to be an idea coming up, a sudden idea coming up, or a lightning change required, or something that is going to feel a little bit annoying because we've got the moon in Aries with its fiery, very self-focused emotions, and Uranus bringing in a change. This could be at work, this could be at home, and because it's at 8:12 a.m. down here, this could really be walking into work and butting heads with a change from already being in a fiery emotional state. Okay, so just be aware of that. At 9:35 a.m., we have a nicer aspect, so a quincunx between the moon and Mercury. So this will be a communication that requires compromise. So it's either the way that you have been dealing with the issues and sitting down with yourself and saying, I don't want to feel this way for the rest of the day, or it's going to be with somebody else. And it's going to be a deeper communication than what you would expect. And it might make you a little bit uncomfortable. The moon in Aries does not really like to get deep down into the emotional state. It just is very much about lighting a fire under it. So you might find yourself in a compromise situation where you're doing some communication that does require you to have some deep understanding, and it might make you a little bit uncomfortable under that Aries moon. Then at 11:13 a.m., we see that Aries moon wanting to move forward with the issues that came up during its aspect with Lilith. And, it's asking us to make some compromises in ourselves. So we might have realized ways in which we put other people before ourselves, and now we will start feeling more empowered to do so and not taking action on it. And really, it'll be that energy of if you've had to compromise with that Mercury in Scorpio, you might find yourself a little uncomfortable under that compromise as you try and work through the energy of how to put yourself first while still being in balance, particularly if you are in a work situation where it is quite difficult to just do what we want, okay? So we will have, after that at 1:25 p.m., a little bit of assistance there from Big Daddy Capricorn coming in and helping us get a bit more disciplined. So we might find that if we are dealing with a work situation, that when it comes to the afternoon, everything we might see through a more disciplined and mature emotional filter, because we have a positive aspect there between the moon in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn. So we will be able to try and see a path and a plan with how we are trying to achieve things, and we will be able to start doing that. At 1:48 p.m., we will see that the moon in Aries makes a quincunx with Mars in Scorpio. And this is just going to require a little bit more compromise to take action. So we've seen with that Capricorn Pluto how we can take action. And now with this aspect, we will find the compromises that need to take place in order to get started. And that will be, it's quite a nice afternoon for being able to work with that energy, because we see an aspect at 3:54 p.m. where Jupiter is going to come in with some expansion energy. And that's really going to allow the moon in Aries to kind of push through any stubbornness it's been feeling about all of the changes it's had to make during the day. And we're going to be able to finally take action. And then, of course, with that, we will find ourselves in a bit of a questioning place, and that is at 6:20 p.m., where we are going to come up against an energy that's probably been bubbling under the surface since we started having to compromise. So remembering that Aries moon does make us quite direct, does make us want what we want. And so once we get, home from work kind of energy at 6:20 p.m., we might find ourselves just going back over the day and how we took action. And it's that energy of really trying to see through the delusion that you might have created in a stubborn energy. And it's going to be very difficult to do that, because this is like an underlying conflicting kind of energy, where Mars in Scorpio wanting to take action, wanting to be initiating on a deep subconscious level, and Neptune in Pisces just floating up in dreamland. So the underlying conflict is going to be between the reality and delusion, and it's going to ask you to be taking a look at some things that might need to change. You might have seen that throughout the day you had emotions coming up that were reactionary, that were too fiery, were not in line with who you are wanting to present. And so this aspect is going to help us take a look at that and make any changes that we need to make. Then at 10:42 p.m., we have a semi-square between the moon and Saturn. So this is very impulsive, very direct energy from Aries, and it's going to come up against a rule structure. Okay, so this is that energy of whatever it was that you were struggling to see between that aspect with Mars and Neptune, where we were having a deeper look at what needed to change in order to not be presenting such fiery emotions when faced with changeable and adaptation needing situations. And now at 10:42 p.m., we see Saturn, the taskmaster, really coming in there and asking us to see where we might need to change our own internal values in order to not respond that way, in order to avoid any uncomfortable tension, because we are too focused on that fiery, stubborn energy when we get into our headspace like that. Okay. So it's a bit of a lesson learning day. It's a little bit of an awkward energy coming up and down, but we'll get there. And as is the story of most days, this is a start and an end kind of story. So we're starting off a little bit in our heads, and hopefully by the end with that semi-square with Aries and Pisces, we will be able to kind of make sense of what happened. If you would like a birth chart reading or any assistance with this eclipse energy, with some astrological counseling, you can find me on my website. And until tomorrow, stay weird.